Welcome back to Movie Files, here with a new movie review, a spoiler-free review for the film Glass, which is written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan and stars James McAvoy, Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Sarah Paulson. The synopsis of this film is pretty simple. You have Unbreakable, you have Split, coming together, combining the both worlds to give us Glass. Now, guys, before I get into my thoughts of this film, my non-spoiler thoughts, I will be shooting a spoiler review after this, kind of get into the details. But in this review, this is your first time tuning in, I'd like to touch on the positives and negatives and give you guys a score of the film. But before I do that, I want to give you kind of a recap, a little mini review for what I thought of Unbreakable, which came out in 2000, and what I thought of Split, which came out in 2017. Now, Unbreakable, when it was out, I didn't get the chance to see it at the theater. It wasn't until I was about 14, 15 that I actually saw it, and I appreciate it for what it was. During that time when I saw the film, we obviously had gotten X-Men 1 and 2, I believe, Spider-Man 1 and 2, Blade. So we have gotten some superhero movies, but not in this vein, where it was grounded, it was gritty, what we got with Unbreakable, and I appreciate it for what it was. But it wasn't until I saw Split many years later, which I love Split. I'm not saying Split's better than Unbreakable, but I prefer Split more, just my sensibilities of horror, the creepiness. Kevin Wendell Crumb, I love that character. Casey was great. But it wasn't until I saw Split that I went back to revisit Unbreakable. I understand the significance of the reveal of Split, and I appreciate it, but it wasn't until I saw Split and went back to watch Unbreakable to really make me appreciate Unbreakable. So overall, I really enjoy Unbreakable. I love Split. So to say I was excited is an understatement for Glass. If you watched our 2019 most anticipated films of 2019, you would see that it was number 3 on my list. Definitely check out that video to see what was number 1 and number 2. But I was definitely excited to see this film. And with that, let's jump into this review. Touching on the positives here, I always like to start off with performances because I believe performances to me make or break a film. You can have a great script, you can have great visual effects, but the performances are key to me. So starting off with the performances, our leads were phenomenal. Bruce Willis, it's been well documented, in my opinion as well, he has been kind of not giving his best performances in a lot of his movies in the last 5 or 7 years or so. But, I think the last really good performance for Bruce Willis for me was definitely Looper. And in this film, he brings his A game to this movie, guys. Like, he is David Dunn. He knows his character. He appreciates his character. And to me, M. Night brings out the best of Bruce Willis when it comes to them collaborating. They obviously collaborated with Sixth Sense and also in Unbreakable. And again, he's a man of few words in this world, David Dunn, but when he does speak, it's profound. His actions in his movies, the things that he does, things he's been up to, is just a really good follow, letting you know where he's at in the world that we get with this East Trail 177 world. And I just really love his performance in this film. Sam Jackson, he is one of my favorite actors ever, in my opinion. I think he's one of the best ever. I mean, he takes, just like Bruce Willis, they both have done a ton of movies. They've worked together a ton of time, Pulp Fiction, things of that nature. But Sam Jackson, like Bruce Willis, takes a lot of roles, and not every movie he's great in, but Sam Jackson always gives it 100%. I mean, hell, he's our favorite characters in superhero movies. I mean, this year alone, he's in Glass, he's in Far From Home, he's probably going to be in Endgame, and he's in Captain Marvel, and he's been in the MCU, he's been in Incredible, he's been in the Incredible franchise, so he is the superhero in real life. I love Sam Jackson, and I thought his portrayal, as he did in Unbreakable, which is great as Elijah, aka Mr. First Name Mr. Last Name Glass. He's great in this film. He's not himself in the first half of the movie, but then we get to, he gets some stuff that happens later in the film that really brings out what I love about this Elijah character as the character that he is, and I just love what they did with him in this movie. The supporting characters, I'll touch on a little bit on my negatives. They were okay, but I'll touch on it a little bit later. But the standout in this movie, obviously, is James McAvoy. Again, I'm a huge fan of Split. Kevin Wendell Crumb is probably one of my favorite characters in cinema, hands down. I love his portrayal. In Split, I believe we get about 6 or 7 different personalities that we see in the film. Obviously, it was said that he had about 20, but in this film, we see about 20 of them, and every single one of them were great. Obviously, you have Dennis, you have Patricia, you have the Beast, obviously, which were all fantastic characters. But, Edwin, he was great. I mean, the dance moves were sick in this movie. The comedic moments were great with Edwin. He had a lot to do in this film, that particular character. But I just thought that James McAvoy, he probably won't get an award for this movie because I don't think the Academy looks at movies like Glass and Unbreakable and Split as like award-winning movies or what have you, but the performance in this movie, not that him getting an award solidifies his performance in my opinion, but I really just hope that he gets some kind of nomination because his performance in this film is just A+++. He is so great as Kevin Wendell Crumb and all the other characters that I just mentioned. It's just a phenomenal performance. If you thought that he was great in Split, he is phenomenal in this movie. M. Night lets him get loose, and not in a bad way, but in a great way. Like, he is just phenomenal. The Beast is this. He lets loose in this movie. I'll just leave it at that. I'll touch more on it on my spoiler review. But I just love James McAvoy as an actor. He's so great in his career. I just love this character that he gives to the big screen. So some other positives, because I can just go on and on and on about his performance. But the story really worked for me. I thought that the first act was definitely in the vein of Split. The second act was more kind of in the world of Unbreakable. You were in the institution where we get a little bit more dialogue, we get a little bit more monologues, more personal conversations. And the third act is really where we get into the movie Glass, because this is Glass. So I thought that M. Night did a good job of kind of melding the three together to give us a good first through third act. The story brings the worlds together in a good way, in my opinion. Again, we get that reveal in Split that this was a sequel, 17 years in the making during that time, and now we get the worlds together, 19 years later. I love the kind of themes that were in this movie, and particularly, knowing who you are, but letting society tell you different. I really kind of like that. The action was really good. This is the most action that we got in the franchise without touching too much on what happens, but a lot of really solid action in this film. The laughs were there. The callbacks to the Unbreakable world as well as Split was done well to me. There's flashbacks in this movie, which I won't touch on, but I thought the usage of flashbacks was done well. The twist worked for me. There's a couple twists and turns in this film that really worked for me. And overall, I just thought that the story was really solid. Kind of touching on some other positives, and I'll wrap into my negatives. M. Night's back. In 2015, I think that he kind of crowned himself as being back, being focused, being, excited to make these movies with The Visit, and then obviously with Split. He's on top of his game in this movie, in my opinion. The script works. The way he uses the camera, he's always great with using color schemes in this franchise. Again, I thought the use of what he did with the camera was really unique. So I just really think that M. Night brought his A game with this movie, and I'm really excited to see what he does next, just based off of what he gave us in the superhero genre. What is his next thing he's going to jump into? Touching a little bit on the ending without spoiling anything, because that's the big thing that everyone talks about is the ending. For me, I don't know where I came up with this number. I just came up with it in my head now. 85% of the ending worked for me. The message that was there, the reveals that we were given, the moments that happened in 85% of it worked for me, and I'll touch on the other 15 that didn't work for me and my negatives, but I enjoyed the ending for what it was. It didn't make or break, or it didn't disappoint me, the ending, but, get into my negatives. I'll touch on it a little bit here, but get into my negatives here. So I would say, as I mentioned up top, there are supporting characters. They're fine. Sarah Paulson, I love. If you haven't seen our reviews for American Horror Story, we did an entire review of season 7, which was the political season. Not this past season, the season before, so 2 years ago. I love Sarah Paulson. I was so excited to see her in this movie when I saw in the trailer. She's fine in the movie, but I wanted more of Dr. Stable. Wanted to get a little bit more of where she's coming from, what she's about, things of that nature. We get hints of that, but not fully developed, in my opinion. Anya Taylor-Joy, huge fan of her career. Love where she's going. She loves these horror films. She loves this different characters she gets to portray. As Casey, she was great in Split. And I really thought she was underused in this film. Kind of, where things pick up. I just didn't think that she would be in this position if she was in Glass. The things she does, the lack of things she does in this film kind of didn't sit with me well. I was kind of disappointed by that. And then the other supporting characters, you have Elijah's mom, who was just okay. She wasn't that great, honestly. She wasn't given that much to do, but things that she was given was just okay. Joseph, David Dunn's son, was fine. I love the relationship in Unbreakable. And they have a good relationship in this, but I just thought that some of the stuff that he was given from either it was the delivery or just what he was given, it just didn't sit well with me. But all in all, like I said, that was probably the weakest point for me as far as supporting characters go. I just didn't, the things that they were given, it wasn't the best. Some other negatives for me, I would definitely say there are a little bit of plot holes within the mythology of the world that was given to us, and some of the ideas that we were given. Some of the dialogue wasn't the best. The script had some issues. A little bit of pacing for me didn't work. But getting into the actual ending, that 15%, There were certain things that were brought to light. There were certain reveals. There were certain things that just didn't sit well with me with some of my, the characters that I love. And I won't get into it here, but there was just some things with the ending that didn't sit well with me. It didn't disappoint me as far as the film. It didn't hinder my score here, but it was some things in that ending that didn't sit well with me. Again, 85% of the ending worked for me, but the other 15 wasn't the greatest. So with that, this is a great sequel to Unbreakable, but I think more of a better sequel to Split, which I prefer more. I think that the performances, again, were great. James McAvoy, phenomenal. Can't wait to see what M. Night does next. I think this is a great trilogy. I can't wait to own all three of them. I have, Unbreakable and Split. Can't wait to watch all three of them back to back to back. I think that this film stuck the landing for me. I'm giving this film a 4 out of 5. I think you guys should definitely go check it out, regardless of the score. Make your own decision, which I know a lot of you guys do anyway, but some people do look at that score and they get a little scared about that, but I don't think you have to. If you're a fan of Unbreakable and Split, I think this is a very, very entertaining sequel. A sequel or a trilogy that wraps up the trilogy. I think this movie is really, really well done. Again, 4 out of 5 for me. Definitely go check it out. But that's my review here, guys. Again, I'm going to shoot a spoiler review, kind of share with you my thoughts on the things that I want to give away in this review here. So definitely check that out. After I'm done with this, I'm going to shoot that. Go see this film. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this movie without spoiling anything for others that haven't seen it. Let me know which movie you prefer. Unbreakable, a Split, as well as if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, as well as, like I said, keep an eye out for that spoiler review that I'm going to have up pretty soon. We did some trailer reactions earlier in the week with Spider-Man Far From Home, as well as John Wick 3. We did an unboxing video, so very busy week here at Movie Files. We got more coming up for you guys pretty soon. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.